What would you risk for freedom? A year of planning, a lifetime of waiting, and one night to change everything. We thought we had the perfect escape until betrayal came from the one person we trusted most. Stick with me. This story will make you question what loyalty really means behind bars. And don't forget to hit subscribe. You won't want to miss what happens next. The first time I heard the sound of the cell door slam, I swear it echoed straight through my bones. It wasn't just the metal hitting metal. It was finality. That sound meant I was no longer just me, but inmate number 45791. It was supposed to be 18 years of that sound, but I had already decided I wasn't going to last 18. I wasn't even sure I'd last 2. Prison life chews you up quick. The air is thick with bleach in the mornings, sweat by afternoon, cigarettes by night. The floors are always wet, never clean, and the food, imagine dog food reheated in a microwave that's never been scrubbed. But it wasn't the food or the stink that broke me. It was the feeling of being watched. Every second, cameras blinking red, guards pacing like bored wolves, even other inmates' eyes tracking you when you walk to the showers. I was in for armed robbery. I didn't kill anyone, but my boyfriend at the time fired the gun. He took a plea deal, flipped on me, and walked with 5 years. I got nearly 4 times that. The betrayal burned, but prison teaches you quick. Don't cry about who screwed you on the outside, because in here, someone's already plotting to screw you next. That's how I met Carla. Carla was older, mid-40s, wiry like a whip. She had deep lines around her mouth that made her look like she'd been clenching her jaw for 20 years straight. She ran the laundry unit, which meant she had power, control over clean uniforms, contraband slipping through folded sheets, favors traded in detergent bags. And she noticed me. "You walk like you hate being seen," she said once, passing me in the corridor. I didn't answer. Talking in hallways is how you get marked. But a week later, she slipped me half a cigarette under the laundry press. That was currency. And when she finally leaned close and whispered, "You ever thought about not rotting here?" I knew exactly what she was offering. The plan wasn't born in one night. It grew, like mold in the cracks of the prison walls. Carla had been studying the place for years. She knew the rotations, the blind spots, the screws who drank too much coffee, and the ones who napped in the security booth. She also knew about the tunnels. Beneath the prison ran a labyrinth of maintenance passages and sewer lines, some still in use, some sealed decades ago. The blueprints weren't online. They weren't in the library either. But Carla had them memorized piece by piece from years of working in maintenance before her arrest. "It's like a second prison under the first one," she said one night, whispering through the vent between our cells. "But it's darker, wetter. You get lost down there. You never come back. But if you know the way," she let the sentence dangle. We started small. Notes scribbled on toilet paper, flushed and fished back through the pipes. Quiet whispers during work detail. She sketched a map in my head, never on paper, never anywhere that could be searched. Left turn at the boiler. 2 ladders down. Follow the sound of water. Then, when you see the grating with the yellow paint, don't touch it. Rat's nest. Keep moving. Soon it wasn't just me and Carla. There was Rosa, a Dominican girl who could pick locks with a paperclip and a smile. She was in for credit card fraud, but she'd cut a guard's face in the cafeteria once for grabbing her. So everyone treated her like she was in for murder. And then there was Tasha, big, quiet, with eyes that didn't blink enough. Rumor was she'd killed her stepfather after years of abuse. She never confirmed it, but she didn't deny it either. We became 4. For women with nothing in common except one goal. We weren't going to die inside those walls. We planned for nearly a year. Every detail mattered. Which guards traded smokes for silence. Which nights the cameras on the east wing glitched because of faulty wiring. Which shifts meant the alarms were tested giving us a precious 2 minutes of death static. We trained too, though no one watching would have known. Push-ups on the cell floor at night, holding our breath until we were dizzy, memorizing steps like soldiers. We whispered signals in the yard. Pulling a sleeve meant stop, tapping twice meant move. But the hardest part wasn't the planning. It was pretending we weren't planning. Prison gossip spreads like a disease. One slip, one careless word, and you're in solitary or worse. So we fought, sometimes, loudly, in front of others. Carla would curse me out in the yard. Rosa once threw my tray in the cafeteria. It was theater, all of it, convincing the prison we hated each other when in reality, our lives were already braided together. The night of the escape started like any other. Cold concrete, the sound of rain outside the high-barred windows, guards restless and half asleep. I lay in my bunk with my heart pounding so hard I thought it might wake the whole block. When the lights cut at 2 a.m. for the routine power test, that was our signal. I slid out of bed, barefoot, every step rehearsed in my mind. Carla was waiting by the laundry chute. Rosa was there too, a grin cutting across her face even in the dark. But Tasha's bunk was empty. We froze, the three of us standing in that shadowed corridor, hearts pounding in sync, waiting. A single absence suddenly felt louder than alarms. Carla's voice was barely a breath. She's not coming. And in that moment, I knew everything we had built for a year was either about to collapse or finally begin. Tasha's empty bunk felt like a black hole, sucking the air out of my lungs. For a year, we had whispered, trained, planned, lived for this night. And now, when every step had to be perfect, she was gone. Carla's jaw was tight in the glow of the emergency lights. She didn't say much, she never did, but her silence cut deeper than Rosa's whispering. She bailed. I knew it. Too soft for this. I wanted to argue, defend Tasha, but my throat was locked. My mind flashed through every moment of the past year. Tasha memorizing routes with us, holding the rope steady as I practiced climbing down, sharing her bread on nights when I was too anxious to eat. She wasn't soft, but soft or not, she wasn't here. And in prison, not showing up was the same thing as betrayal. We move, Carla hissed. Now. So we moved. The laundry chute smelled like mold and metal. It was narrow enough that my shoulders scraped the sides as I slid down, feet first. The world flipped as gravity pulled me. And for a second, I thought I'd choke on my own heartbeat. I landed in the basket below with a dull thud, legs shaking, but I forced myself up. Rosa dropped down after me, like she'd done it 100 times, grinning through her fear. Carla came last, hitting the ground hard but steady. We were in. The maintenance corridor behind the laundry reeked of bleach and rust. The pipes lining the walls hissed with steam, dripping condensation onto the floor. The air was damp, heavy, alive with the hum of machinery. It felt like the bowels of some massive animal swallowing us whole. Carla led. She always did. She had a memory like stone, carved with every inch of this place. Left at the broken boiler, right at the yellow valve, down 2 ladders slick with grease. Each turn took us deeper, the sound of the prison above fading until all I could hear was the slap of our feet against wet concrete and the rasp of my own breathing. We passed graffiti scratched into the walls, dates, initials, desperate prayers left by workers or inmates long gone. One message caught my eye as I ducked under a low pipe. Freedom costs blood. I shivered but kept moving. We reached the old sewer junction. The stench hit like a fist, rotting waste, mold, stagnant water. Rosa gagged, covering her nose with her sleeve, but Carla didn't even flinch. She pointed to the tunnel ahead, narrower, darker, water rising to our ankles. This is it, she whispered. We stepped into the black. The water was freezing, seeping into my bones. Rats scurried along the walls, their claws scratching the stone. My breath echoed too loudly, bouncing off the curved ceiling. Every sound felt amplified. Our splashes, our gasps, even the thud of my heartbeat in my ears. We were halfway through when Rosa froze. "Wait, you hear that?" I stopped, straining. At first, nothing but the drip, drip, drip of water. Then, faint metallic. The sound of a door slamming somewhere behind us. Someone was in the tunnels. Carla's hand shot up, signaling silence. We pressed against the wall, hearts hammering. The sound grew, boots on metal, echoing closer. My stomach dropped. Tasha, she had told someone. I wanted to scream, but there was no time. Carla gestured forward, sharp and fast. We splashed ahead, moving quicker now, the water rising to our knees. The tunnel forked, and Carla didn't hesitate. Left, always left. But the footsteps behind us multiplied. It wasn't one pair anymore. It was 3, maybe 4. Guards. The plan was unraveling. We stumbled into a wide chamber where the tunnels crossed. The ceiling soared, dripping with moss and mildew. In the center stood an old iron grate, thick bars blocking the way up. Carla rushed to it, fingers curling around the rusted steel. "This is it, the last climb." Rosa pulled a makeshift wrench from her waistband, a smuggled piece of metal she'd sharpened and hidden in her mattress for months. She jammed it into the bolts, twisting with all her strength. The sound of scraping metal echoed, like gunfire. "Hurry," I whispered, panic clawing at my throat. But the footsteps were so close now I could almost hear the guards' radios crackling. Rosa cursed under her breath, twisting harder. The first bolt snapped loose with a screech. Then another. The grate shifted, the opening widening just enough. Carla shoved it aside with a grunt, motioning us up. "You first," she ordered. I hesitated. Wasn't the leader supposed to go last? But one look at her face told me not to argue. So I climbed, the rung slick with slime, my hands slipping as I pulled myself up into the shaft. Rosa followed, agile as ever. Carla stayed below, waiting. That's when the beam of a flashlight cut through the chamber. "Freeze!" a voice barked, bouncing off the walls. Rosa screamed, scrambling faster. Carla shoved the grate, slamming it back into place, locking herself inside with the guards. "No," I shouted, reaching down, but Carla's eyes found mine. "Go," she mouthed. The last thing I saw before Rosa pulled me upward into the darkness was Carla turning toward the flashlights, her jaw set like stone. We crawled through the shaft, the space so tight my elbows banged the walls with every movement. Rosa was ahead, muttering prayers in Spanish. I tried not to hear the chaos below, the shouts, the clang of metal, the thud of boots. Carla was buying us time, buying us our lives. When we finally emerged, gasping, into the night air, the cold hit like a slap. The sky was a flat black, rain misting down. We were outside the walls. For the first time in a year of planning, I tasted freedom. But it wasn't complete, because behind us, somewhere in the belly of the prison, Carla was still fighting. And Tasha, the one who hadn't shown, wasn't just missing anymore. She was the reason. The rain felt like knives against my skin. Cold, sharp, relentless. I tilted my head back, sucking air into my burning lungs. And for a moment I wanted to scream, out of relief, grief, rage, everything. But Rosa yanked me down into the mud. "Don't be stupid," she hissed. "They'll have spotlights out any second." She was right. Behind us, the prison was waking up. Sirens blared. Alarms shrieked. Red lights flashing against the high concrete walls. Dogs barked, men shouted, and searchlights began slicing through the dark sky. We weren't free yet. We were prey. The field stretched wide before us, soaked with rain and dotted with patches of wild grass. Beyond it lay the woods. If we made it there, we'd have cover. If not, we'd be two silhouettes shot down before sunrise. Run. Rosa breathed and we ran. Mud sucked at my shoes, pulling with every step. My lungs burned, my legs screamed, but I pushed harder. Each time a spotlight swept over the field, we dove flat into the wet grass, hearts pounding so loud, I thought they'd give us away. Behind us, the prison roared like a wounded beast. And somewhere down there, in those tunnels, Carla was either dead, bleeding, or chained. I couldn't think about it. If I did, I'd break. We reached the tree line just as a spotlight lingered too long on our trail. Shouts erupted, radios crackled, and a gunshot split the night. The bullet smacked into the mud inches from Rosa's hand, spraying dirt across her face. She didn't flinch. She grabbed my wrist and pulled me into the woods. Branches whipped against my arms, thorns tore my sleeves, roots caught my feet. The forest swallowed us whole, damp earth muffling our steps. For the first time since sliding down that chute, I felt a shred of hope. But hope is dangerous in prison, and outside it too. We hid in the hollow of a fallen tree until dawn. My body shook with exhaustion, every muscle trembling. Rosa pressed her back against the damp wood, muttering under her breath again. Words I couldn't understand but felt like armor around her. I stared at the horizon, the faint gray light creeping over the treetops. Freedom was supposed to feel lighter. Instead, it felt heavy, thick with guilt. Carla should have been here. And Tasha, God, Tasha. I wanted to believe she'd been scared, that something had stopped her. But the timing was too sharp, too precise. The guards hadn't just stumbled into the tunnels. Someone had pointed them. We moved again when the sky brightened. Rosa knew the land. She grew up not far from here. She led me through back paths, avoiding the roads, keeping low. Hunger gnawed at my gut, but worse was the thirst. My tongue felt like sandpaper. We found a creek, and I dropped to my knees, drinking until my stomach cramped. The cold water shocked me awake, but it didn't wash away the image of Carla's face in that flashlight beam. "We can't stay together," Rosa said suddenly. I snapped my head toward her. "What?" "They'll be hunting pairs. Two women on the run. It's obvious. If we split, maybe one of us makes it." I shook my head, so hard my vision blurred. "No, we planned this together." "We planned it with Carla too." She cut me off. Her eyes were hard, wet, full of something that looked too much like resignation. "She bought us time. Don't waste it." I wanted to argue, to cling, to beg her not to leave, but I saw the truth in her face. Prison had taught us one rule above all. Survival was selfish. So we split. The next 2 days blurred. I walked until my feet bled, slept in ditches, curled beneath branches. Every sound a threat. I stole apples from a backyard tree, nearly got torn apart by a dog, and once when a patrol car crawled past, I lay flat in a culvert, heart hammering so hard I swore the officer could hear it. Everywhere, posters went up. Our faces, names, bold black letters screaming escaped inmates. Armed and dangerous. Armed. That part made me laugh bitterly. We had nothing but desperation. On the third night, I reached an abandoned barn. My body was shutting down. I needed shelter. I slipped inside, the air thick with hay and rot, and collapsed in the corner. That's when I heard it. "Thought you'd be smarter than this." I froze. The voice was familiar. Too familiar. From the shadows stepped Tasha. Her hair was damp, plastered to her cheeks, but her eyes were dry, sharp, alive. She wasn't running. She wasn't broken. She was waiting. My stomach twisted. "You." She smiled, slow and cruel. "I warned them, told them exactly where you'd be. And look at you, still crawling, still thinking you got a chance." I couldn't breathe, couldn't move. My mind reeled, replaying every laugh we shared, every secret, every plan whispered under blankets. All of it a lie. Why? I rasped. Tasha tilted her head, like it was obvious. Because I'm not spending the rest of my life in a cage. And snitches don't do time, they get deals. Footsteps echoed outside. Male voices. Flashlights cutting through the cracks in the wood. She brought them here. Something inside me snapped. I lunged. The impact knocked Tasha against the wall, hay scattering. Her eyes widened, not expecting fight, only betrayal. My hands went to her throat, years of rage burning through me. You sold her out. I hissed. You sold Carla. Tasha clawed at me, kicking, but I pressed harder. The barn filled with the thunder of boots as the guards burst in, shouts ricocheting off the walls. Hands where we can see them. The moment shattered. Strong arms yanked me back. My body slammed into the dirt. Cold steel clamped around my wrists. I screamed, spit, fought, but it was over. They dragged me out into the night, Tasha following behind, calm as anything, her wrists untouched. The prison gates looked taller the second time. They swallowed me. The cells smelled worse, the lights harsher. Rosa never came back. I never found out if she made it. Carla's name wasn't spoken, like she had never existed. And Tasha, I saw her once months later on the news. Fresh clothes, hair clean, sitting beside a lawyer. She'd made her deal. She was walking free. Now, years later, I still hear the echoes of those tunnels. The splash of our steps, the barked order to freeze, the sound of Carla's voice mouthing go. Freedom costs blood. I read it on the wall that night, and I know now it wasn't a warning. It was a promise.